Hello and welcome to tonight's edition of Tokyo 2020 Rewind. My name is Wale. It's so nice to be with you again today. It's been a day of ups and downs for the Nigerian contingent to the Olympics. Well, it's no longer news that Jacobs Lemon. I still have to get used to that name, the Italian Lemon Marcel Jacobs won the 100 meters final Olympic gold, where our own Enoch Adegoke crashed out due to hamstring injury. But still, we still have our girls to look forward to. Toby Amuson qualified at a very good time, the 100 meters hurdles for the final, and obviously Ese Brume and the long jump. She's also in the final of the year's edition of this year's competition of the long jump event of the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Those two girls, especially, will be featuring so much, very much so, in our programs for today. So those were the highlights, anyway, of today's show. Don't forget that the Jamaicans made it 1, 2, and 3 in the female 100 meters event yesterday. What a clean state for the Jamaicans, riding high as they should. Today I'm going to be joined by someone who is obviously doing something worthy of note, especially for Nigerian athletes, who is someone also very knowledgeable about what's been going on at the Olympics. So we're going to be talking about the Olympics, about the project that is generally just been released to the public about sometime last week. So we're going to be talking about, obviously, we're talking about the Olympics and all our athletes, what they've been doing, all our athletes, what they've been doing, and what should happen at the Olympics. Is Nigeria going to end up getting any gold medal? We're going to be asking our guest today. So I'm talking about Lanre Aina. Lanre, thank you for joining us. Lanre has got a project called ATHLST, right? Lanre, am I correct?
Yes.
How do you pronounce it?
That's how you pronounce it. ATHLST.
ATHLST,
without the vowels, but yeah.
Without the vowel, yeah. So ATHLST. So, well, we're going to tell you We're going to tell you much about what this project is and what ATHLST is today. But let me just first and foremost welcome Lanre to the program today, and also start by asking Lanre, what's your opinion? What's your review, or what's the highlight of the Olympics for you, especially when it comes to the Nigerian contingent? What if you were to look at this Olympics as it concerns Nigeria in the next 5 years? What would you say to someone who probably just dropped off from the moon and asked, how did Nigeria perform at these Olympics? What would your answer to that person be?
Well, I guess the way I would approach it is, and I think, first of all, let me apologize. The outside, the Wi-Fi is stronger outside. I just never realized that. That's how you guys roll in London. So if you hear cars zooming by, I apologize. But the way I'll put it is that I would have been very critical of the athletes in general if I hadn't started athletes, because I came from the outside. But because of athletes, I've had an opportunity to actually interact with a lot of these athletes. And I can tell you that Nigerian athletes really changed me, right? You know, when I started this project, I wanted to spotlight the athletes, but it moved from just, starting sort of like a startup entrepreneurial venture to almost like a calling, just because of how, my own life changed just interacting with these guys. They're brilliant, they're intelligent, they sacrificed a lot. And there's no reason why they should, right? Because they're easy way out, right? Our athletes can go run for Bahrain, they can run for Saudi Arabia, they can run for Canada, or for US, and they'll do amazingly well, and they'll be taken care of. So my big question to a lot of them, I think even when I was talking to AC, was like, why are you doing it for us? Like, why Nigeria? So when I look at the Olympics, I see talent, and I see a lot of talent. Think about Blessing and her heat. Think about our lads in the 100 meters. Think about all the different guys that ran the mixed relays. You would see talent, and that's what Nigeria always has. We have an abundance of talent, but we lack organization, and we lack the finesse that allows us to win at the high level. And sometimes that finesse doesn't come. Can't come from the athlete, because they've done everything that they have to do. They stayed fit. They've used their vitamins. They've worked hard. They've competed, tried. Think about all our athletes. At least you think about long jump, hurdles, 100-meter hurdles, 100 meters. Like, all these guys are like top 10, top 12 in all their categories worldwide, right? So we have a bunch of talented people who sort of done it by pulling up their own, by putting on their own boots and pulling themselves up by their own shoestrings, right? But we need organization that allows us to win, and that's what you find with the UK, with the US, with China, and all these guys who are winning. So when I think about it, and I try to explain this for someone who comes from the I like what I see, because I think about the Commonwealth Games next year. I think about all the different competitions, the World Athletics that comes a couple of years after. We definitely have talent, but we cannot win if we don't have organization. Nobody wins this sort of championships without organization. I'll give you a funny joke just before I hand over. When I was interviewing Toby Amuso for this, for ATHLST, for the cover of Headliner, Toby said that she couldn't find a bathtub in the whole of Lagos when she came for Nigerian trials. And she kept on asking people, where can I get a hotel with a bathtub? They were like, what's a bathtub? Just going to a shower. Like, no, I need a bathtub because I have this soap that I use on myself that sort of helps me, that massages my body, right? It helps me recover after I practice or after I race. People are like, what's that? Dude, just slip it off. Use some, put rub on yourself and you go run. You'll be okay. But when I saw a 100-meter runner, right? I forget his name. I think okay. When I saw him run,
Enoch, yeah.
I was like, no, Enoch, you need soap. You need soap or you need a bathtub. But anyways, I joke. I mean, it's just a joke. It's the reality of what our athletes have to go through.
And I'd actually totally share this reality, because just about was it yesterday? Oh no, 2 days ago we had Soji Fashuba and Patti Tai Olympians, and obviously Fash was African record holder for a long time, and told us some funny yet very serious and very unconceivable, embarrassing stories of what they went through. So he, in fact, talked about a competition they went to, and he won, and he asked the Nigerian Federation, the officials there, for Nigerian flag, and there was none around. You could imagine that. Athletes, they go for competition, they don't have enough. They don't have enough kit to kit themselves, and you tend to think people improve at things. This has happened about 10, 15, 20 years ago. We are now in 2021 and we're still having the same problem. Larry, I asked you this question. Do you think these problems can ever be solved? Problems with this non-preparation, lack of organization, and all this myriad of problems. Do you think they can be solved?
So I think it's a fantastic question. And the reason why I think it's a fantastic question is that the organization that we don't find in the AFN, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but it's the fact. The reason any organization, the NBBF, right? So think about this. So as the header, as our as we ran the headline project, we had 4 women. So we had Asa Brume, Toby Amuso, Oduayo Adekoroye, and we had Adara Elonu. And we had different experiences interacting with all the athletes, right? Adora Elonu's interactions, I can believe I was living in Nigeria. It was state of the art. It was world class. It was like I was dealing with the WNBA. I had to go through her coach. Her coach had to approve. And they had to know what was going on with their player. What is going to pick her up? Are you doing a regular Uber? Or is it an Uber X? Where is she going exactly? What's she going for the photo shoot? And the place where she's going, I hope they have masks. Is there a COVID protocol? Oh my God, it was like, it was serious. It was the coach, and the coach was, in fact, was American, right? Because I don't even know how the MBBF did it. I think they raised private funds to build sort of American coaches and create camp in this. But I can tell you, in the same Nigeria, for the same Olympics, the organization was superb. So it's already happening. So this stuff, oh, is it going to happen? It's already happening in some other organizations within Nigeria. We just have to figure out how to copy and bring it to the AFN. And if you notice, look at art. Are there still? They're not. You could tell that there was organization, right? The business. You could see the organization, you could see coordination. We knew who was going to play. We knew why to play, right? It was some of the older guys who make the team because it's about organization. You guys are old. Thank you for taking us to the mountaintop. But these are the guys that are going to take over from now. And people sort of understood that, right? So there's something the NBA doing that I don't even know enough about. But the little experience, I can tell that there is organization there. So how do we take that and how do we bring that to the AFN and to other organized federations that we have in Nigeria? It's not all bad. From inside, seeing the good, seeing things that we can replicate. But I really feel like the AFN was really shameful. Like just the whole preparation, and I think it's not a spite on them; it's a spite on all of us. It's like, how do we allow this, right? That some players are not tested enough. It's this Olympics was a shocker for me. I just, it was had a lot, some very good projects, and I hear we.
Let me just apologize again for the quality of a connection to Lanre. It's just where Lanre is at the moment. The broadband is a bit, somewhere in London. So apologies for the connection, but we'll continue with the show. So Lanre, if I got you right, so the issue is. It's not that things are not working in Nigeria, and you cited the NBBF, that's the Nigerian Basketball Federation, showing us the ways, kind of, showing us that it can work. They went all out, got a coach for the Tigers from America, and obviously the Tigers also from America, and they were able to put things in place to make sure that everything actually worked well. So we're trying now to replicate what they've done with basketball in other association. Well, to start with the AFN and what have you. I look at that what you said, but so with regards to the AFN, at the moment they've got two factions. Okay, they got a faction that claims I'm the authentic, we're the authentic board that should be taking Nigerian athletics to wherever they want to take it to. Then there's another faction that is saying, no, you guys were suspended. We are the one recognized by the sports ministry, by the IAAF or whatever. At the end of the day, what they've done is to succeed in bringing shambles to Nigerian athletics on the world stage. Where do you think, or what do you think should be the solution to all this? Especially we're zooming in on the AFN now. We know things can change. We know things can improve. NBBF has started it. So with regards to the AFN, where do you think we can go from there? Should we stick to the later board that obviously the ministry is decided, and the sports minister decided, all right, this is the people I'm going to listen to, or there should be a compromise, or should we just dissolve both boards and then just go for fresh elections, and whoever win these elections should now, go forward with managing Nigerian athletics?
I think, personally, I think that's a tough question. I'm not sure if I have, the level of competence to even talk about Nigerian politics because there's just so much going on. And I'll be frank, right? I don't dabble into stuff I don't know enough about. There's so much going on, and we've seen this also in the NFF, right? And when you hear both sides, you can reason with both sides, and that's how complicated Nigerian politics is. Like, both people are right. In a funny way. Legally, both people will tell you they're right. So that's a challenge. But I also know that in Nigeria, that our style of leadership has always come from the top down. And that's the kind of leadership that we've always responded to. And I think that the Minister of Sports has the capacity to straighten things out, right? They provide the funding, they provide the wherewithal for those federations to succeed and to exist. So if the Minister of Sports really wants to change sports in Nigeria, then he has the power to do it. And I think that's just my sort of like my high level answer, right? And it's not, it might not be as layered enough for people that know more than me. But that's how I see it. If there's a will, there's always a way. Like, if people really want to change this, if people really want to help these young people succeed, there's always a way. And the truth of the matter is, the time that I've spent doing ATHLST, I realize that the opportunities that athletics presents to young people in Nigeria is actually bigger than football.
Really?
I'm telling you, the opportunity that athletics presents to the young people of Nigeria is actually bigger than football. And this is how I would position it. If I had a child, I have a child now, I have two boys. One is 5, one is 2, going on 3, right? If my children were going to play sports, I would actually push them towards athletics than football or basketball, right? Because the path that athletic presents for them is amazing. They get through school. They have the ability to go to some of the best schools in the world, right? They get educated. Think about Blessing Okagbari. Think about Tobi Amuso. These girls went to UTEP. UTEP is a pretty solid school. It's the University of Texas, El Paso, right?
El Paso, yeah.
Think about some of they're Nigerian Americans, but think about the Ogumike girls that went to Stanford, and so the opportunities that that some of the athletics, the basketball, and all that presents, I think is more rounded than football, and that we have to start to take athletics very, very seriously because we build more rounded citizens, right? So that's one. But I feel if there's a will, there's a way. I think the Minister of Sports is intelligent enough. I mean, he's Oxford graduate. Like, he doesn't come any better, right? He has to put that IQ to the work to test. And I think he also has the skills, right, to manipulate the politics, which is why I think he's uniquely positioned. So, I think we have to go back to the drawing table, and I don't know how to put this, and maybe people like Yomi or Mogwega, probably have more experience in this, but I remember when I was growing up in the 90s, after my father has read newspapers, right? After he's read his newspapers, I'll go to the back page and I'll cut out the sports clippings of Daniel Effiong, of Eziwa Brothers, of Olakpade Adenike. Like those, there was one amazing picture of there's an amazing picture. My wife is telling me to calm down, getting too passionate. There's an amazing picture of Mary Oyali, right? I cut it out, put it on my wall. She was the queen of track, and I remember that there was a calendar. We knew when the mobile track and field event, or the track and something at games of Nigeria would happen, and everybody would look forward to it because everybody's coming back home. The guys in the US, the guys in college, the guys doing professional, everybody was coming back home. And the reason why I bring that up is that the private sector has to come back into athletics. And they have to come back in a big way, whether it's through leadership, because even then I used to hear the leadership of AFN was run by a private sector guy who just ran it part-time. I mean, I think he worked at Mobile or whatever. And, he just ran it part-time. I think we have to go back to that, because those were the glory days. Those were the days that we knew that athletes could go abroad and we could take care of their insurance and their health bills and everything. And they were performing excellent. I mean, was it Barcelona 92 or was it Atlanta 96? I think it was Barcelona. The Zewa brothers got to the finals. Like, it was a big deal. Mario Yali won a bronze in 200. We came back with medals. So, I really feel like the way forward is, we have to remove ourselves and say, we have to do this in the interest of the young people, because it's their talent that we build this whole organization on. If there was no one who was running 10.73 as women or running 9.85 as men, there would be no reason for anybody to go to the Olympics. Olympics for what? Like, who are you taking? So at the end of the day, these guys are the horses, right? That we sort of, that we place our bets and our hopes on. And we have to make the organization work for them, right? And it's really that simple. But I also think people like you, Wale, and people like Yomi and all these amazing guys abroad, right? And some of the old athletes have talked to, Pat and what's her name, Fatima Yusuf. Like, you guys have to come back home, and I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you remotely do it with work now, but you guys have to be a part of, sort of lifted us up from the ground.
And obviously we are doing what we can actually from here also. That's why we got shows like this, to bring people like you who are also doing magnificently well, promoting our people, our sportsmen and women, and actually letting them tell their stories, so people behind, people looking up to them will tend to hear it. So I know you talked about athletics being the way forward, and obviously you started with the headliner, and you said, well, if you had to, you will have your children go do athletics rather than football. But how do we get this message down to the grassroots? Because if you go to Nigeria now, for example, if you go to anywhere, if you go to Mushin, you go to Ajegunle, what have you, what you see is a pitch where people play football. Because the idea is, I play football, I get to play in the National League, local league, I play 1 or 2 seasons, then I get some agent from somewhere, who's on Springer from anywhere, and probably take me to Azerbaijan, where I'm going to be earning dollars. And if I convert these dollars into naira, obviously it's going to be in millions of naira. And I've got my siblings there that's probably suffering. I've got my mom and my dad there that are, barely, living off, what they should be living off. So how do we get to bring these stories to those people, those young ones in those places, and tell them, listen, this could be a path for you to secure your future. You could have opportunity to go to the best schools, to the best unis in America, and obviously create a path for you that you will obviously live off for the rest of your life, so to say. So how do we do that? I know Headliner is starting that already, but how do we really go down there to tell that story?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is that we have to create what I call likely rods, right? So people who people can look up to and say, oh, so that happened to that person, which is what Headliner is about, right? Because a lot of our people don't know, first of all, we don't know how amazing athletes like Blessing Okagbare is, right? She's been running for 15 years, and I know, whatever is going on with her right now will be solved. I find it hard to think that Blessing Okagbare used growth hormones. It's just in my mind, but that's a different story. But they're amazing. I met amazing athlete. I met this young lady called Mercy Abire Matomi. She does long jump, right? But she didn't qualify for Nigeria, but I know that she had done long jump for her school, LSU, in the US. Mercy is the first Nigerian athlete, right, to have a full scholarship, like a full ride at LSU, right? And because of her influence, she's also allowed, she's found ways of getting other Nigerians in. Amazing young woman, right? Brilliant. You have a conversation with her, you're blown away, right? You see the American system sort of pass through her, and she's passed through it, right? When I asked her about her story, I said, how did you get this scholarship thing? She just said, hey, I just started practicing. You know, I developed this interest for running. My parents would take me to the stadium, and you know, I started practicing. I started getting better. I went for a junior meet. I made a particular type, and all I know was that there were scouts at the meet, and they would say, hey, do you want to come to school in the US? I said, I've never heard that before. You know, so Mercy is like, so there's no connection. There's no like, oh, Tinubu is your godfather. There's no like Sunday Diary is your cousin. Like, it's just it was based on meritocracy. And the reason I say that is that, you see, if your football career fails, it's technically over. You have no skill. Like, think about, we have a story on Daniel Amokachi, whose injury killed his career when he was 28. That's his prime, physically and mentally, right? And that was the end of his career. So that's why football is, I know it's high reward, but it's also high risk. The reason why I like athletics is that it creates what you call a long tail for a lot of people who might be good, might not be good, but might get a scholarship, might eventually become, you know, world famous and run a couple of nice times and do long jumps and all that. But in their prime, when they decide to retire, they have a degree. They can decide to stay back in the US. They could decide to come back to Nigeria. They could do a lot of stuff for their families, right? They're professionals. They can add, right? Those are the kind of guys we want back to the AFN, because now they're educated. Now they have master's degrees and all those different things. So for me, it's, you know, we have to tell that story. We have to sensationalize the story. It's not just enough for us to report it, right? Because I think Nigeria is really good at that. We just report the news. No, I want to customize the news, right? I want to make the news presented properly, right? To a point where someone sees it and says, oh my God, this is what I'm going to do next. And I think that's what we want to do. That's what we wanted to do with the headliner, right? To really show these people, to go behind the scenes, to show, you know, what makes them think, and, you know, and to show and to help other young people sort of, you know, sort of understand that. And I think lastly, we also have to go back to what we used to have. I think days, and I'm not that old. You know, we used to have this inter-house, inter-school competitions. Yeah, sports. I went to the Lanre. I know the guys from Adesoye College would come. You know, the guys from Uni Lanre would come. I remember Olapade's school. I'm trying to remember it now. CNS in Lanre. You know, it was a big deal. Inter-house sports was a big deal. You saw the fastest runners, at least in that side of the country. You know, you've heard about some people that are running crazy times outside school, and you're hoping your boys, you know, can match. It was fun, and they sort of picked those guys, and they went all the way up. And I think the opportunities are now even bigger, because now, you know, getting into an American university is easier than that time, because now scouts are everywhere. You know, they're coming to Africa, they're doing all that, right? There's a lot of education. There's a lot of re-education about Africa. I know a couple of African coaches who are constantly, you know, sort of contacted by coaches in the West, because they just want to understand what kind of strength and conditioning, you know, routines do you have, right? People want to know more about Africa. People want to know, you know, how to do well with so little. So I think it's about time to, you know, carry that ground to the grassroots, and it's not a 1 year thing, it's not a 2 year thing. It's like, you know, it's something that we have to keep on and create shows like yours, as well as, you know, more sort of like entertaining shows, you know, to show that there is an opportunity. And I hope this Olympics teaches us a pretty strong lesson as a that we
Mm.
need to. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. All right. Thanks, Larry. So, Larry, we're going to take a quick short break. Stay there. When we come back, we're going to show a trailer about what the headliner is all about and ATHLST is all about. Okay. So, we're just going to take a quick break. When we come back after break, we're going to show what we are talking. What the heck are these guys talking about? We're going to show you a bit about the alliance. First time I saw this, I was like, wow, it's something you guys need to actually take a look at. So, if we're ready, Yomi, let's take a break, and when we come back, we talk more. Hello, welcome back to the show. It's the Tokyo 2020 Rewind. We're going to take a trailer for the headliner in a second. If we're ready, Yomi, if we can, just take that.
Waves around the world. She made history. It was the first time Nigeria won a gold medal at the Olympic Games, the first by a woman. 2.5 decades later, a new collection of women athletes will be carrying the hopes and dreams of Nigeria at the Tokyo Olympics. 4 women, 4 stories, 1 goal, as they look to make history. Today, I talked to Toby Amuso, Ese Brume, Adora Ilonu, and Odunayo Adekuroye as they share their inspiration, passion, and ultimate quest for glory. My name is Tega Onojaife, and this is Headliner. Adora Ilonu was born in Houston, Texas.
and they are going to fight to the end. They've got Japan tomorrow, and catch Adara and the teammates fighting to the end, defending Nigeria, defending green, white, green of Nigeria. That was brilliant, Larry. I need to ask you this question: did you have to go through the eye of a needle, proverbially, to get that done?
I think to do a production like that, it takes a bit of an effort, but I think as an entrepreneur, I've just learned that, like, impossible is nothing. As a Nigerian, I'm used to hard. I'm used to I'm used to difficulty. So that's nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if there's one thing that I like about the DNA that we sort of that we've developed as Nigerians, is just there's nothing that is impossible to a Nigerian. We just have to commit, and if we find something that we want to commit to, whether it's good or bad, we generally win. So the mindset for me is, this is going to be hard because it's the first of a kind, so people might not understand, but at the same time, it's something that we need to do, right? It's something I need to do, for my own generation. Because when I look at the generation ahead of me, I'm asking them, where are the JJ Okocha documentaries? Where's Rashidi Yakini's story? Where's Stephen Keshi?
You know what, Larry? I was just going to ask you that question. Sorry to cut you short.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of that trailer, it said something. 25 years after Chioma Ajunwa. By the way, IJ, you said, where's Chioma Ajunwa? Chioma Ajunwa is in Lagos. She's still with the Nigerian police. I think she's a deputy commissioner of police in the Nigerian.
We have a story. We have a story on Chioma. We have a ton of stories coming. So we have a story on Chioma.
I was going to ask you, just because you said about the generation before you, 25 years.
Oh, yeah.
25 years. No one told any story about the first person to win an Olympic gold for Nigeria.
Chioma is a sweetheart. She's a darling. She's an amazing woman. She's done so well for herself. Her story is heart-wrenching. I don't want to give it away, but Chioma Ajunwa said her greatest moment, in fact, the title of her story is "Now I Found My Happy." It's hard. And in fact, we wrote that story about 4 months before Chioma finally got her house that they promised.
Yeah.
I tell you, now I found my happy. Chioma Ajunwa said the greatest day of her life was standing on that podium and looking at that jumbo screen and seeing her face and the national anthem of Nigeria played. And she was above everybody else around her. And she was like, oh my God, I can imagine how my people would feel. And she came back home and she went to Lagos. And we're not throwing anybody under the bus. She goes to the Lagos state government and says, hey, I heard you guys are giving out houses. I got to go. Do I get one? The Lagos state government was like, oh, sorry. You might have to go to your own state. So Chioma was like, when I was jumping, I wasn't jumping for Imo, Anambra, Abia, wherever I'm from. I was
jumping for Nigeria.
So she says, okay, well, I guess there's nothing I could do. So she goes to her state and says, hey, I've done the nation proud. I just, and it's not really like a handout. It's just like, do I get a pat on the back? And you know what they gave Chioma Ajunwa? It was and people can go and Google who the governor was of Chioma's state in 1996. It was a military administrator. And I would advise people to go and Google who it was. This guy gave Chioma Ajunwa a towel. That's not the hook. He gave her a towel, and on the towel, the embroidery on the towel was Super Eagles. It wasn't even Chioma's name. So what we're saying is our generation has to represent change, the change that we want to see, right? A lot of people can go to the Lekki toll bridge and they can march. Some of us would march with media. Some of us would march with technology. And there are a lot of young people who are marching with technology right now. Think about the Flutterwaves and the Paystacks and all those amazing young people who are completely changing the game and bringing huge FDIs into Nigeria by just virtue of their, just their IQ and being able to look for opportunity, right, in Africa. That's the change we're talking about, and we have to change it from the inside out. So I want to see those stories, so I create them. The first time I met JJ Okocha was giving a speech to executives at Oracle at 4 Point in Lagos, and he talked 9 minutes off the top without a piece of paper about football and technology. People don't understand that for JJ to be able to play the kind of football that he's played, he probably has the same level of IQ as a human being, right? Mm-hmm. Your brain just has to work in a very different way. JJ is a brilliant man, and I want to show the world that, so I want to show the world that, how do we do that, right? So for me, it was like, spend some time at Google, gleaned a lot of, my understanding of how the internet works, helped Google launch YouTube as a product, a monetization of YouTube in Nigeria, onboarded some of the first online publishers on YouTube in Nigeria, Jason Njoku of Iroko, Ibaka TV, all these different guys. These were the first set of guys that started to monetize content. And these were people that I was, I had the opportunity to work with. So I think when I left there, I said, how do I take my understanding of how the web works and digital, how do I layer that with my my love for storytelling and my access to some of these athletes? And how do we build something that is fresh and different and something that allows them to say what they want to say, not what we want them to say, right? And that's what ATHLST is really about. Like the stories you see there are stories we want to talk about. So when Tobi Amuso is talking about zero, people are like, why did you title it Zero? Because Tobi said that's how she felt when she ran at the Nigerian trials and she looked at the clock and the clock didn't even start. The clock was on zero. I was in the stadium that day. I didn't understand it because I was like, it's not possible, right? This is Nigerian trials. This is what as a kid, I read on newspapers, the mobile track and field. Like, is this not what it is? The Hail Mary, like, do you understand? Like, this is the Holy Grail. And I'm like, what? The clock didn't work? So what happens? Is there a second time? Right? Is there something we're missing? And it just didn't work. It was zero. So Tobi basically talks about, and when you ATHLST.com, you see her story. She says that this is how I felt, zero. That this country has not given me anything. Has not. Like everything I've had to get, I've fought for. Right? Even I'm good now and I want to show that I'm good and people are still saying, don't call me an oppressor. Like, so that's how she felt in the moment, right? Like, I don't just change her feeling about that, but she's clearly for Nigeria or Canada or Burma, right? So there's still a big love for Nigeria. She felt disappointed and she couldn't believe it. So I want to help those athletes too, right? So we can change as a community, we can change as a people, and those who are coming after us don't make the same mistakes that we have made, and I really feel like that's where we're going. I think about it, like, I don't know how many people read like I like 4 comic books. My professors, we didn't have that kind of money, right? So the comic books were the clippings at the end of that newspaper for me. Daniel Effier, Davidson and Ziwa were my own superheroes. Those were Superman for me. Mary Ojali was Wonder Woman, right? Like, Chema Ajua was Hawk woman, Hawk girl. Like that's what it was, right? Because we couldn't get comic books, like so that's why this is so important that we tell these stories, because these guys are almost like our last bastion of everything meritocracy in that country. So that's that was sort of like the inspiration for what we decided to do.
And it's so wonderful that you guys are doing this, because the whole essence of like our program is this: no outsider, no foreigner would tell the Nigerian story more than the Nigerian. So CNN, BBC, Fox News, Al Jazeera would not tell our story the way it should be, you know. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
found out something when Adara was talking there, when she said she got a call from the Nigerian Federation about wanting to pay for Nigeria when she was in college. And the mom said, no, what has Nigeria done for you? You know, so but for her now to now go back and still express that desire to play for Nigeria. Same for Toby. Toby zero, but she went on there. You know, she's in the finals of 100 meters, although for in the at the Olympics, and she's going to run her hearts out to make sure she gets a medal
Yeah.
for the same country that gave her zero.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of
Yes.
people will have known this story, you know,
Yeah.
except they listen to people like you, like us, talking about
Yes.
what these girls are going through. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a situation of, oh, blessing failed the drug test and everybody's against blessing. You know, do you know our
Yeah.
story? Do you know what has gone wrong? You know,
Yeah.
over here we know how the British, how they protect their own thing. You know, they protect
Yeah.
theirs. They always tell the story. It's not all about winning sometimes. It's about the story behind the winning, you know. So it's beautiful that you're coming out with this. Um, whilst we're going towards the home stretch, I want you to talk a little bit about Esebrume. That's another of our medal hopeful. You know, Ese is someone I actually I've had the pleasure of interviewing, having a chat with about twice now. Brilliant girl. Can you just tell us a little bit about your experience with her too, and what we should look forward to in the long jump?
So, and I think I'm allowed to say this because Ace is already in the finals of the long jump, but I was in
Yep.
Benin when Ace was jumping. And I can tell you for a fact that this girl, if this girl puts it together, the world doesn't know what's about to be unleashed. This girl was jumping over
Wow.
7 easy in training. In training.
Mm.
I can say that we have you on camera. So it's people like, oh, Larry, what are you talking about? We right? So I think it's still the stadium, it's still Japan, it's still the weather, it's right? She's still a bit. I'm outside my, but she's a brilliant competitor. She's very focused, and the secret of Asa Brumer, right, is I like to also. I mean, I never take the credit away from God, but the person who is behind this lady is a guy called Kayode Yaya.
Coyote, yeah.
People don't know this guy.
Yeah.
This guy is the motivation. This guy is the energy. This guy
Mm.
is the visionary behind her. Because if you go back to Ace's story, Ace started running 100 meters, right? When she started early, anyone who knows Ace's story, Ace ran 100, ran 400, did triple jump, did long jump. She did all sorts of things, right? It was Coyote that said, hey, let's focus, right? Let's find where you're really good at. And they started to do this long jump. And Ace is competitive. She's good. I think she's really worked hard. She's disciplined. I think she's going to do very well. And if you notice, the girls that we picked, right, out of the 4, I think 3 are still going to medal. Right? We really paid attention. We looked at the hype. We looked at everybody. We looked at the competition. And we said that if there's a hope for the Nigerian contingent in Japan, it's 4 girls. We looked at all our data. We're like, these are the girls, right? And we put in Adora. It's small, so it can't be all of her. It can't be all about her. But we're like, they can create an upset. But I'm sure of Ace. I'm sure of our lady from UTEP, Toby. And don't underestimate the passion, the power, and the zeal of Odu Akure. Amazing young woman from the streets of Akure, right? Started off as an athlete. Her story is on ATHLST, right? She wanted to run because she knew running was the only thing that could get out of poverty. She sold on the streets of Akure. She was, those people in traffic selling doo-doo at the junction of the Ikire. That's the kind of girl Odu, right? But she met Coach Aku. And Coach Aku said, "Do you want to wrestle?" She says, "Look, I want to do anything that gets me out of Akure." And that's how we started. And it started, and she started to get good. But her dad, in fact, she left the house for 3 days, and they were like, well, they had to do a missing persons report at the police station because they didn't know where their daughter was. So she had split out of the house, and she went to come wrestling, right? So her dad cares about, daughter, wrestle. I disown you. You're not coming back to my house, ever. You want to embarrass me. So when me go out and I'm happy with the guys, they say, your daughter is a wrestler, carrying people up and down the place. No way, right? But at the end of the day, when her dad now realized that she was even probably bringing in more money than they could realize just from her meets, her parents were like, okay, it looks like this wrestling, there's something there, right? And they allowed her to do it, but they put her under the watch and the guidance of Coach Ako, an amazing guy who paid for her school fees, who made sure that she went back to school, but she was wrestling. Right? Wrestling too has another beautiful organization led by Daniel Igeli. If you don't know this guy that moved back from Canada.
Yeah.
Oh my God, amazing mom. Yeah. He has a whole facility by yourself. We're there, right? So it was part of the whole process of getting to know these girls and all the different things that they're going through. So Odu is another. She's fired up. If you look at her career, Odu has not won the Olympic medal. She's won everything else, but the Olympic medal, she hasn't. So she's fired up, right? My thing is that God bless the person that meets her in the finals. That's all I have to say.
I say amen to that. I say amen to that.
Yeah. Amen. God meets. And I hope that, I hope this story will inspire all of us to be better and to be great at what we do, right? Some of us are educationally are teachers. We're in the education field. Some of us are computer scientists. Some of us are biochemistry majors. It's our job to put Nigeria on the map, and it's not hard. We're already great people. We already do well. We just have to do it collectively now, right? We just have to, don't be quick to judge, right? Be quick to praise. Elevate everybody. Right, Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba. We need to the collectiveness amongst us. We're a great nation, and our generation can change that. And I think it's the job of the media to do that.
Brilliant words, Lanre. Thank you so much. And guys, if you're watching and you just want to know about what we've been talking about, go to ATHLST.com. Okay, Yomi will be putting that on the. We'll be scrolling that at some point. Yes, so you want more, get over to ATHLST.com. So that's how it is spelled, ATHLST.com. Sign up now and you get to read, you get to listen, you get to watch, you get to read about these brilliant girls, okay? So many touching stories, so many stories I think you would not even have heard from anywhere, but you're going to find that here. Headliner, okay? So as we go, Lanre, anything else you want to tell us about Headliner? Is it just going to be limited to just a track and field? Are we going to be getting to hear, see about other sports or other heroes, heroines of the days past, and people to look forward to?
So the idea of Headliner is really about sports, and it's not just about Nigeria. It's about the entire Africa. And Headliner is just our first product that we put out. And Headliner, basically, it's a showcase of the most talented Africans and some of the athletes who are doing amazingly well at that particular time. Right. So it's going to happen every month. So there's a headliner every month. So you're going to have 12 headliners a year. right? So our second headliner, we're already working that production out already, but we do it as a sort of like a full 360 package. So you see amazing photos because Africans, we don't take photos, right? we take all
Exactly.
these we take all these funny cell phone photos and we call them cell photos. So we have amazing photos that will come with amazing stories written by the athletes and sort of like amazing interviews. So it's almost like a three series. So with a headliner, you see that all the girls have written their own stories in terms of what they want to talk about. Then they have the short sort of like profile with Tega, who's another amazing woman in Nigeria who's really spearheading ladies in sports. So Tega is a reporter, our guest reporter, who sort of interviews all of them. Then we also have photo shoots that are done as part of the production, so that we want to put out those pictures, want to show that these women are amazing. And we're doing for men. We're focusing on 5 major sports now, and when we mean Africa, we're still focusing about 8 countries. So Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, Ethiopia, Kenya, and South Africa first. Then as we expand as a business, then we'll connect with other countries. But in terms of sports, we're looking at football, basketball, athletics, combat, which could be MMA or boxing, or taekwondo, right? And there's one I'm missing now, rugby and something else, right? And we just want to spotlight, some of the best Africans out there. So headliner would be sort of like our featured spotlight type event. But there's so many other products that we're dropping. Next one, we're dropping something called React, which is sort of like an online interview. But it's based around athletes watching their own sort of highlights and sort of telling us what exactly was going on. So JJ Okocha going against what's the name? Oliver Kahn. Dude, what was going on in your head?
What's going on in your head? I'd love to hear that.
So that sort of, so the few products, and of course the documentaries are also a big one for us. We're working on a couple of very good documentaries, and when the time is right, we'll make those announcements. But again, I can promise that some of those stories that I did here growing up, I'm doing something about it. Let me just put it that way. Yeah.
Larry, it's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Absolutely.
But I won't let you leave without telling me how many medals? I don't want to put you on the spot now, on the spot. How many medals do you think Nigeria is going to end this Olympics with?
So I think we might go home with 2 or 3 medals. I think that's how I'll put it. I really think that would have a gold, and I think that gold might be between SA and Oduayo. That's what I really feel. I think Toby is going to medal also, but Toby is just more competitive. Her sort of her group is so much more competitive that I can't predict, but I know she's going to medal. Like it might be the bronze, it might be the gold, it might be the silver, and hurdles is it's so high stake, right? You click that thing slightly, you can move from first to the last in a split second. So. But I think she's been consistent. I think she's really worked hard, and she's a really focused young lady. So I think we have about 3 medals. But the ones that I think are already in the bag, the ones I feel very strongly about, or do and SA. I think SA is going to really shock us in the finals. I think she's been building up to this very moment. I know there's a lady in Germany that's going to give us a run for our money, but we'll see. Like Paula White said, we might have to command the angels from Africa.
we just might.
We might have to get the angels of Africa to go to Japan. But so I think 3, and I think 3 would just be, it would be a way, to just say, what, it wasn't a good Olympic. We have talent. Let's get ready for the next one, I think. And I think those girls have just worked too hard not to, and they're role models. Like, I just, I pray that, that the universe, just aligns for them, and that's what sports is, right? I just pray that the universe aligns for them at the right time and everything's perfect, right? And SA might just do what Chioma did, first jump, and that's it.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's it.
And that's it. Yeah.
It's been great talking to you, Larry. Thank you so much for gracing our show today. and hopefully we get to speak to you maybe at some point before the end of the Olympics or at the end of the Olympics, when we're going to be celebrating your girls and the medals.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I
Have a
appreciate
great
it.
night. Take
Thank
care,
you.
man. Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
night.
So that's our show today. Oh, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And we got loads of comments that came through in the comment section today. I want to say thank you to Chris, Sandra, Victor Folaya, um, Atlang, Mufiken. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Victor Folaya said he thinks ATHLST.com is dope. And we got thumbs up from IJ. IJ obviously said nothing is impossible to a Nigerian. I say amen to that, definitely. Um, um, People are talking about wonderful news, looking forward to headliners on ATHLST.com. And people saying, lucky you, Lanre, you have the whole field to yourself, so many stars to cover, and I need to read this. Yoshi Otamura. That sounds like a Japanese name. Says, wait, what? What were Nigeria? What was Nigeria pride back then? They gave her a towel. Ah, yes. Better believe it, Yoshi. Yeah, they did give her a towel. So, and people obviously are saying, well, people watching us from all over the world, London, South Africa, and Nigeria, and um, I want to thank you, every one of you, for joining us on the show today. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. And please go out there, type ATHLST.com, check it out. All right, if you want to know more about what's going on. And obviously, thank you to Lanre. And obviously, don't forget about the headliner. Get in there and check these wonderful stories about these wonderful girls. Share it amongst people. All right, so much to learn from them. I want to thank Lanre for coming on the show. Lanre Aina, thank you for coming to the show. Thank you to my producer, Yomi Omagbeja, for making sure we're coming to you live today. And to every one of you out there, have a great week ahead. And don't forget to always stay safe. From me, Wale, I'll see you soon again, Tokyo 2020 Rewind, hopefully very soon. So have a great night and a great week ahead. Goodbye.